Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Hey, welcome back to Calling All Beans, everyone. Happy Thirsty Thursday. How we doing, ladies?
Doing great.
Chickadees.
So good to be here. Great to see you, Misdemeanor.
You as well. You're looking lovely this fine Thursday evening.
As are you. And Bia, I love the curls. I love
This is
them.
my natural hair. I'm going back to give my hair a break, a well-needed break.
That's actually my natural hair too, and you may be seeing more of that in the coming weeks.
I'm telling you.
Love it.
I know. As the straight hair girls want curly hair and the curly hair girls want straight hair. And that's,
This is true.
So thank you both for joining. It's so great to be with you tonight. We're waiting on Grace to come in. Unfortunately, Meredith got tied up with work obligations and couldn't make it, but the show must go on. So hi, friends. I see a few of my besties in the chat. Thank you for joining. So today I wanted to get together with you beautiful ladies and discuss a very shocking documentary that came out in August. It's a Netflix documentary. Why am I drawing a blank?
Unknown caller.
Number.
Unknown number.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yes. So basically what the story is about, obviously it's a documentary. It's based on a true story. This beautiful, successful teenage girl who was a cheerleader, had a, wonderful upbringing supposedly. So the teenage girl named Lauren, her and her boyfriend Owen in Beale City, Michigan, for almost 2 years, the couple received harassing, threatening messages from an anonymous number, leading a multi-agency investigation that ultimately revealed the surprising identity of the perpetrator, Lauren's own mother, Kendra. So, yes, I know this is, obviously we as mothers, we try to do the best for our children. We always have their best intentions, in mind. And so, of course, when I saw this, the shock and horror, because most normal moms would just act certainly differently. But just to kind of get started here, so what was your first impressions of the documentary, Misdemeanor?
My husband and I, when it was revealed that it was the mother, literally, we looked at each other and went, "Oh,
yeah,
no. Who does that?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. If you have ever encountered someone that has any sort of mental health issues, regardless of their age, and it's very difficult when you're a teenager and hormones and everything else, why on earth would you put your own child through that? I was appalled.
Yeah.
I know.
How about you?
I'm feeling your words. So so you were shocked while you were watching it real time, Misdemeanor, and I had only seen the documentary in the last 24 hours. It's been on my to-do list, but I knew I had to prepare. What's the saying? I always wanted to be a procrastinator, but I just never got around to it. So I was watching it and listening to it over the last 24 hours. I had heard when it came out that it was the mother, and I said, that's all I'm shocked, and that's all I'm going to know about it before I watch it for myself. So I'm kind of bummed that I knew the big surprise before I went into it. But I think this is a really, really perfect topic for a mother's roundtable, just like your last topic, Bia, because we as mothers and fathers can have their own experiences as well, but we as mothers, we were completely just blown away by this. And again, I'm not slighting fathers when I say this, but the fact that a mother who brings their child into the world and whose only responsibility is to protect and love the child and to support the child and be there for its entire life. And usually that involves the rest of the mother's life, because the mother will typically, statistically, not outlive the child. The fact that a mother would knowingly inflict emotional and psychological damage to her own child in such absolutely abhorrent ways, it it not only appalls me, it fascinates me that people can be this mentally compromised. Um, and I want to dig into it. Like, I'm looking forward to talking about it tonight, because this needs to be discovered and uncovered, because this story is not solitary, I'm sure, it's really manipulative behavior.
It was shocking to me in that, as a mom, your child is literally a part of you. It's different
100%.
than dad's. Yes, I understand. It's a part of them too, but it is different for a mom. And we
100%.
were talking backstage. My son, I have a very, what I feel is a unique relationship with him. Um, and it's very close. And I cannot fathom. I never want to see my son hurt
Right.
ever. Like, I will take some people out that I think might be trying to hurt my son, and she was the one doing it. That's the part I am fascinated with as well, Nan, because I'm like, how are you okay with that? Where did those instincts go?
Right.
Right.
And
Right.
to watch it, like, she wanted to observe it. It's not just, I'm hurting my child. It's,
Yeah.
let me see my child's raw reaction to these hurtful things I do on all different psychological fronts, whether it's a sexual piece to it, which I don't know if that's an appropriate YouTube word, but there was a physical piece
Yeah.
to the messaging. There was emotional harm. There was insults about her daughter's body and appearance. So there was body and weight shaming. All of those reactions of the child, plus she's a child and navigating her way through phones and technology and social media and all of the strains of peer pressure and going through high school. And we can all remember how awful that is to go through. And your mother is the one who's a spectator and a player in the game. Like, I'm really fascinated in a negative way by
Right.
this.
I totally agree. And do you believe her when she said she was not the first one to send that message? That
No.
initial I didn't think so either. I was like, there is no way that you saw her or not saw her, because I don't know if she probably didn't go to her mom right away, but
Right.
that somebody else did. And then all of a sudden you decided to take over to be that mean. I mean, what do you think, Misdemeanor? Do you believe that?
I absolutely don't believe that. And I'll also piggyback on some of what Nan was saying. It is shocking to me how inappropriate some of the content was in the messages that she was sending, because I kind of got the feeling that some of what she was discussing and saying in these text messages were possibly intimacy that the two of them had not ever even done.
Correct.
That was the
Right.
impression I got. And I was like, what mother does that? Oh my gosh.
Yes, I had the same reaction to that. And I also, at the time, and I'm not a psychologist, and I was watching this again, I had the different perspective. So I knew the culprit before I approached it. So as I'm going through it, I was like, I wonder if the mother in any way had I don't know if this word, I don't want to say a word that's not YouTube friendly, but in any way harmed or inappropriately dealt with her daughter in the years, in her formative years as a young child. Like there's just no way that this manipulation is your first time. There had to have been a pattern of some type of manipulation throughout. Laura, is her name Lauren? I keep calling her
Yes.
Lo.
Yep.
But
Lauren.
throughout Lauren's life, and the fact that Lauren was surprised by this even leads me to feel like she probably has been snowed over the years thinking that manipulative behavior from your parent is the norm. You know, like she never suspected that it was, I don't think she ever suspected that it was her mother.
No, I don't think it.
And it's
She,
quite possible that I missed if that did happen. But all in all, when I was watching this, I just kept thinking, there's no way someone started these texts. It was the mother. I have seen, following true crime over the years, that once the culprit is kind of caught red-handed, they tend to fabricate stories behind the bad conduct to kind of justify the behavior. Like, well, it wasn't me who started doing it, but I then picked up where that person left off, because it somehow mitigates in their own mind, their own level of culpability. Yeah.
yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I can tell the daughter having some manipulation and childhood trauma of my own.
Right.
It's easy for me to recognize it and see it in other people quickly. I am not in any way, shape, or form a mental health professional or psychologist, psychiatrist, none of that. I just know what I've been through. And there are a few things I can spot right away, narcissism being one of them, manipulation being another one of them, and trauma. And trauma to the extent.
Hi, Grace.
Guys, hi. I'm so sorry. It's a time zone thing. I
No
didn't
problem.
realize I had it on my calendar on the wrong. I thought I was early.
I love it. And she's
No
rocking the
problem.
shades
I
tonight.
know.
That's awesome.
She's looking mysterious over there.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to work with the lighting a little bit, so hopefully it's all good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, the trauma part of it. I mean, there are portions of my childhood I do not remember. Period. Full stop. And that's how my brain was like, okay, this is how we're going to deal with this, and that's okay.
Yep.
I think Lauren's way to deal with it was to ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to create the world and the mother that I want in my head, and oh, that doesn't match my narrative, so I'm not going to listen to that. And I think that's how she coped.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. By the way, I don't know about all of you, but I can't wait to hear Grace's take on this in her soft, soothing voice, because this
know.
is a pretty dark
Thank
subject,
you.
and I just can't wait. I
Yes.
really,
You get the
Well,
floor, Miss Grace.
the main thing is, sorry, and can you guys hear me okay? Is the
Yep.
microphone okay? Okay, awesome. I have not been able to bring myself to watch the documentary because to me, it's too intense. It is just the concept of that level of betrayal. It goes against everything that I have worked to build with my own children. And it is the betrayal of that magnitude is such that I almost can't even like let it into my world because it's just too big and too terrible for words, I guess. But
yeah.
I find the idea of like bullying and bullying within families and bullying between adults, I find it so compelling that I wanted to be here for the conversation, but I knew that couldn't watch,
Yeah.
after, thank goodness that there were like people who let the twist, like, spoilered the big twist, because
Yeah.
I think I would have had nightmares for months.
I
Yeah,
did.
it's
too
interesting
intense.
because
Yeah.
Misdemeanor was saying before you joined that she found out during while watching it with her husband. I had
Mhm.
experienced the spoiler. How about you, Bia?
Okay.
I watched it on my own too, and I
Oh,
didn't know
Yeah.
it was the mom. And then Nan is fresh off of watching it 24 hours ago, and
Oh,
then you haven't
wow.
watched it. So we have an awesome
Yeah.
roundtable here because
Awesome.
it's different perspectives on the topic. But
Yeah.
we got it all. But what I was going to say is one of the things that we started talking about is that um, we were told or the way it was presented to us in the Netflix documentary was that the mom claimed she did not send that original message to the daughter. So that somebody else had sent it, and all of a sudden she got addicted to sending these messages to the daughter, where she was,
Oh
to
my
her
God.
daughter and her boyfriend, harassing, threatening messages, and even asking her to unalive herself. And
wow.
luckily, this girl didn't follow through with anything,
Hmm.
which brings
Yeah.
me to my next question. What do you think would have happened, or how do you think the mother would have felt if she actually went through with any of the things that it was being suggested to her? Any thoughts
My
on
God.
that, Misdemeanor?
Oh, I want to
I was
speak on
gonna.
this, but no, you
Okay.
go first, Misdemeanor.
Yeah, I can tell you based on her behavior, it would have been her daughter's fault
Oof.
that her daughter wasn't strong enough and couldn't handle, and the disappointment that she would have in
Mhm.
her daughter for not being a bigger person to muddle through this and that. That's my opinion, because this woman has not an ounce of compassion, remorse. If ever there were a sociopath, I think it is her.
100%. Yeah, no empathy.
Oh.
Um, I have to say, I think that had her daughter done some of the things, including the
Mhm.
most drastic thing that was being prompted to her in the text messaging, I would suspect that the mother, Kendra, would have exhibited, I think it's called Munchausen's, where
Yes,
the
by
person,
proxy.
yeah,
Mhm.
by
Yeah.
proxy, where the person actually makes themselves unwell or inflicts their own illness or wounds, and then wants the
Mhm.
attention of others to sympathize for them, to give them pity, to care for them. That's how
Yeah.
I see perhaps that the mother would have reacted. Like, this, she caused this complete chaos.
Mhm.
She was an agent of chaos. She caused this dismay. She did more than once prompt her daughter to take the ultimate act. And that's inappropriate for anyone to ever do. We actually locally, to where I live in New Jersey, had a girl in her teens was prompted to do something like that, and indeed did. And now there's a big foundation, a lot of awareness. It made national headlines a few years
Yeah.
back. Um, and that has rallied so much awareness for, as Grace had mentioned, bullying, which we didn't talk about before Grace joined. Like,
Right.
there's a big bullying piece to this.
Yeah.
And
And that,
cyberbullying as
oh,
well too.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, this new world that we all live in, and our children. So Misdemeanor and Bia, I know, and I think you all have older children. I know, Grace, you have a young child as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
um like, my kids are they're 10 and
In
12,
between,
so
yeah.
they're kind of
Yeah.
getting into social media, and I worry for
Yeah.
them. Like, I won't worry so much for example, Misdemeanor's grown son, because she raised,
Right.
sounds by all evidence, she's raised one hell of a son, and he's got a great relationship with his mama. And not to detract from any of your relationships with your grown children either, but the kids who are only living through this new renaissance or resurgence of bullying, but with a digital piece to it, I lose sleep over this. And not
Yeah.
just children, it happens to adults, and I'm a prime example of it.
A
Yeah.
lot of adults, more than 42% of adults apparently have either been the target of cyberbullying or have observed, from a third party perspective, have observed others being cyberbullied. So
Yeah.
it's, I mean, that's staggering to me that nearly half of our population can either bear witness to this or worse, be the target of
It's
it.
it's interesting to me. I raised my son. He was very, very small for his age, always has been. And he was in kindergarten readiness. So he wasn't even in kindergarten yet. And there was
Yeah.
a boy that was picking on him and calling him names. And I instructed my son, well, next time he calls you a dwarf or a midget or a shrimp or whatever it is, I want you to tell him that you'll grow, but he'll always be stupid. And so the
Yeah.
next day, of course, the boy starts to tease my son, and he does that, and he comes home and he tells me at the dinner table, all chest puffed out, And what's interesting to me, I have found bullying in real life, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to like punch back. Bullying online, don't do that.
Mm.
It gives it energy. It makes it continue. The best defense online, ignore.
Yeah.
I
I would.
totally agree. Same subject and having to handle it differently.
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
This hits really hard for me. For in reasons I can't fully discuss right now, but I'm actually glad that it came up because it's so interesting. I agree with you, Misdemeanor. Like it giving it energy, whether it's, online, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on X, whether it's on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, you pick the platform, and there's many more that I don't know about. Um, it's not just like giving it energy to the person or persons who are doing it, which in and of itself feeds their beast. They want to
Right.
see the reaction. They want to
Hmm.
get your goat. But also, I'm disappointed when I'm now observing that there's a populace of people who just want to spectate. They want to see it. They don't want to step in. And I'm not
Oh,
speaking of personal, I'm really trying to not be personal when I
yeah.
say this, but there are people who just want to see the, I hate to use the drama word, but I will. They want to either
Yeah.
see the drama, they want to see your reaction, they want to see the fight. It's kind of like when people used to go back behind the schools and
Oh,
duke it
yeah. And
out,
like, yeah.
at
And
three
circle
o'clock
around
high.
the kids. Yeah. And everyone would observe and say, fight, fight. Yeah.
And now it's
Ridiculous.
and now people can do that and be like fight, fight, fight without quote being there. So those
Yeah.
people don't have to publicly be in the cafeteria or behind the school.
Hmm.
They can do it from the comfort of their home with their phone, with their tablet, and just watch. And then there's
Yeah.
an entire populace of people who will then chime in, throw gasoline on it.
Hmm.
There's even, for lack of a better word, copycats,
Yeah.
people who just try to emulate the behavior to see if they can get your goat as well.
Right.
So I'm like so fascinated also that this conversation is including this piece because, as I said, I watched it in the last 24 hours and I didn't even think of that. So thanks for bringing
Yeah.
that up, Misdemeanor.
And
Well, and on
also,
top of that, I feel like it's a very thin line between the kind of bullying that you're describing and things that are more socially normalized, like snark subs, for example, or any kind of snark den where um, the community has apparently agreed that XYZ behavior is absolutely the worst thing ever. And now we're all just going to pile on to that person and be a bit of an echo chamber about how we as a community feel about this type of behavior. And I think it's just a very, very thin line between that and cyberbullying.
Yeah.
And also, most of these people that are behind their keyboards in the comfort of their own home probably would walk down the street and not even say a word to you. And that kind of goes back to what Misdemeanor is saying, that, you're trying to teach your kids, like, if somebody's bullying, address it, because that's the only way to, um, are you guys, am I echoing?
Oh,
No.
No,
Okay.
it
Oh,
no,
okay.
maybe a little, but not in an annoying
not a
way.
big deal. Yeah.
Okay. But here we are telling our kids, when you're at school, address the person, and hopefully, they stop, because if you show the bully that you're not going to be afraid of them. But online it's totally different, because you don't know who's behind that keyboard necessarily. So yeah, very
And it can be
interesting.
somebody who's been pretending to be your friend.
Right.
Like,
And that,
Yeah.
I was
that's,
gonna say,
Nan, that's the part. And I know I get that we are not naming names or anything like that, but that is the part that has been so frustrating about watching the situation that you've been enduring, because I think that a lot of people are either somehow in disbelief, or like something is preventing them from saying, no, I will not stand by this bully. And it is so appalling to me, because the very first thing that I did when I became aware was I asked myself, okay, do I do I have any connection or relationship to preserve with that bully, where I have a responsibility to confront that person personally and say, I know what you have been doing. I am aware of this and I will not stand for it.
Right.
And I realized that I don't know the person in that way, but I thought, okay, well, that's not going to stop me. Do I have a responsibility to stand up and say to everyone else, this person has been doing XYZ and I will not stand for it? And I thought, that's kind of introducing a problem to a bunch of people who may not, like, I don't want to draw
Right.
drama.
Right. Add
And
fuel to the fire.
exactly. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to work out. And I thought, all I can do really is continue to be a good person and be the kind of person that I want to see from others, and hope that someone will be influenced by that. But also the idea of, I can choose not to watch the bully's content. I can vote with the absence of my like, or the absence of my view, to say, I will not engage with this. I will not endorse this kind of behavior. And if this person, and I kept waiting for an apology, I kept waiting and waiting for an apology toward you from that person. And one day I thought that there was one, but it turns out that it wasn't. My husband had to tell me, honey, he's not really having a phone call right now. This is pretend. And I was like, oh my God, this is even worse than I thought. So, it if there had been an apology and a sincere, Nan, I shouldn't have done this. I was out of line. I don't know. I don't even know what's wrong with me, but this is not okay. And I want to go on the record to say that what I have done is wrong. And I hope that you will forgive me. And I know that you can count on me to never behave this way toward others. I would have gone right back to being a fan of that person, albeit cautiously, knowing
Yeah.
now what they're capable of. But I would have said, wow, that's really, like, emotionally mature of that person to come back around and realize that, they were really on the wrong side of history with this. And again, it never happened. And I thought, oh well, like, this is not, our time and energy is so finite. And I don't know about you guys, but when I go to bed at night, I want to be tired for all the right reasons. I want to be
Right.
exhausted from having put the best forth into everything that I possibly can. I don't want to go to bed at night exhausted from, like, the ugliness of the day, and filling my vision and my mouth with ugly comments to other people and witnessing ugly things. And I thought, I'm not going to allow this person to be a part of what I consume in a day's time. I want to fill it with the goodness. And hopefully, Nan, I've been just wanting to pick your brain about that, because I hope it hasn't been interpreted as an inaction, or like a lack. Because, like I said,
No.
it's I just didn't want to start fires where there didn't need to be any. But I want to be
No.
on the record saying bullying is not okay.
It is not
And
okay.
That's quite all right. And Bia, can I and DJ who's behind the scenes, can I just take a minute of time
Of
from your
course.
program? And
Of
I
course.
just want to
You
say a
get the
couple
floor.
things.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, thank you for your comments, Grace. And secondly, the individual who will not be named,
Mhm.
um, actually, after I presented information publicly, and I did
Mhm.
not want to do that. I've known for months, but
Yeah.
once I did that, that individual did send me a text message partially apologizing, and only apologized for um, saying that, or for the impression that I got that I was not a good mother. I did not get an apology for the cyber bullying that I had experienced, which was a very,
Horrific.
very horrific. And I understand why that wasn't put in writing, even though I have all of the
Yeah.
evidence and it's conclusive, which, by the way, was really disappointing to me, that once had to put it out there for
Yeah.
reasons I cannot discuss, there was a lot of people who questioned the veracity of even a small subset of receipts that I published, the authenticity of those receipts, and I published a small part.
Wow.
But with that said, I just wanted you ladies and the audience to understand, holding that aside, because that was a partial apology for one piece of it, and that was actually the piece that didn't bother me that much because I am a
Mhm.
damn good mama. Um,
Yes, you are.
yeah, as you ladies are too. But with that said, I did not respond to a text message partial apology because my mama raised me right.
Yes.
If you're sorry for something, you talk to that person and say it to them, and you actually don't get on a stream and talk in a pretend phone the day after the apology, the partial apology, and
Yeah.
shred that very person. I have all the receipts. If I have to, I will publish the apology. The other piece I wanted to say is that, and I really wasn't going to discuss this, but I'm just going to say it very broad brush. I actually have someone who is not that individual who, for months now, has been cyber stalking me and harassing me.
Oh my
And it is
gosh.
not that individual, and it is not a content creator,
Yeah.
and it is pervasive. It is scary. It is not just cyber, and it is very, very serious. It actually has made its way onto live streams on this very channel
Oh my
where I've been
God.
live, and the individual had put a super chat up under a pseudonym of someone whom he lives with just to get to me. Thousands and thousands and thousands of text messages,
Wow.
completely illogical text messages that make no sense, threats to my bar administrations to take my license, threats as
Oh
to my
my
personal
gosh.
relationships and my relationships with my children. And that is the lens that I'm going to approach this discussion.
Well, yeah, and whether it's that kind of in-person bullying or cyberbullying, at the end of the day, all bullying is a form of stripping away a person's sense of safety and security. And
Right.
that we can never stand by that. We can never abide by that. I feel like in the absence of being able to confront the bully, the least that we can do is instill in our own children a sense of inclusivity and here is how we behave instead. Here are the choices that we make instead. Here are how we love others instead of here's how we either silence implies consent, stand by and watch someone be bullied, or, even worse, participate in the bullying. Like there needs to be direct instruction on the way that good good children behave, good adults behave. We
Right.
need more of an instruction manual about the right path instead of just these constant examples of
It's
the
not
wrong
hard
path.
though, Grace.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not hard. We don't need an instruction manual. Misdemeanor's house, all of my son's friends, when they came over, there were 2 rules. 1, don't tattle. Y'all figure it out, because when you get to be big boys, you're going to have to figure it out without mama there. So learn how to converse with each other and settle whatever dispute you're having. Second rule in misdemeanor's house, don't you dare name call. I literally sent one of my son's friends home. We had the cool house because we had the pool and the ping pong table and the trampoline and everything. So they all wanted to be at our house.
Yeah.
And this young boy stood at my fence. Miss Janet, Miss Janet, can I come back now? I'm like, nah. You told Kaylee that she had a pig nose. Nope, we're not there yet. So it was like 3 days that he couldn't come to our house. Not because his parents wouldn't let him, because we wouldn't let him.
Good.
That simple.
I need you to be my mom.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, actions have consequences. And that's what I think sometimes, we've gone in, and I'm not saying that, before when we used to spank our kids, that was the answer. But now it seems like, kids, they just have this freedom and there's no consequences for their actions.
Yeah.
And you take a toy away or you take a phone away and then you're giving it back. And then, you have to definitely set those boundaries. If you take a phone, you say you're going to take it away for 7 days, don't give it back on day 2.
Exactly.
You have to kind of, because then that's how they think that this is how life will, you're going to go through life and you can talk your way out of, consequences. And that's not always the
Exactly.
case. So I definitely feel that it's, I don't think the kids fear the parents as much as they used to when there was spanking involved.
Yeah.
But obviously this is an evolution of time. And now that's not, it's frowned upon, which I totally understand. But, I think you lead by example, and all you can do is give them all the tools that they need. And hopefully they become better humans who are accountable for their actions. As embarrassing it is, if they do something to a friend, you make them go up to that other child and say, I'm sorry, and make them own it. Because when you are the one that's saying, I'm sorry to that child, there is no lesson learned right there. So
I totally agree.
So true. So true.
So when
go right ahead.
No, go ahead.
You talking about holding your children accountable, and my son, there was a situation, he maybe was 6 or 7 at the time. And this neighborhood girl would come over and play, with him and play with the dog and all of that. Well, I don't even remember what my son did, but he did something that hurt her feelings and she left. And I went to him and I said, hey, what happened? And he's all down in the dumps. And he says, I did whatever it was that he did. And I said, well, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. And he said, I don't think I can do anything about it. I think, she's not going to be my friend anymore. And I said, well, how do you know that? Well, he didn't have an answer for that. I said, how about you hop on your bike, head on over to her house, explain to her that you're sorry and that you didn't intend to hurt her feelings and that you used poor judgment and you really value her friendship and you want to still be her friend. And if she wants to still be your friend, great. But she might tell you that she doesn't want to be your friend anymore because you were mean. So you need to be prepared for either one of those. Okay.
I love
rides
this.
his bike over, comes. I can tell by the way he's riding his bike when he left is trudging. Comes back. So I said, how did it go? And he's like, oh, we're all good now. We're friends. We're still friends. But it was a really big lesson in you have to be accountable for your actions.
Yeah. And I think accountability, to extend that a little bit, I think that one of the other ways that we can help our children to understand is by not pretending that we haven't messed up or made the wrong decisions and that kind of thing. Like one of the biggest lessons that I've continued to tell my daughter, because here I am, 45 years old, and I'm still carrying this on my heart from when I was 10. And remember how call waiting and three-way calling had just come out, and so I had two classmates that lived in the same neighborhood, and I was so proud because, my dad had gotten us three-way calling, and I'm, trying to figure it out. And so I was chatting with the one girl, and we said, "Oh, let's call the other girl and we'll surprise her. We'll surprise her with, like, surprise, I was also on this phone call too." I don't know. It was, you can tell that it was already coming from kind of a mean girl place. And what ended up happening was her answering machine picked up, and I didn't click off. Like, I thought that I had clicked off, but what I had done was united the three-way call so that we were, me, the other girl, and the answering machine were now all on the phone. And then I proceeded to talk ugly things about this other little girl whose answering machine was now recording everything. And
Oh.
it has been 35 years. I'm sure that I apologize profusely. And I'm sure, like, I haven't even, I'm sure, because the shame that I have carried
I feel that.
for being part of that. Like, what was I thinking? Like, why did I do that? And how could I have hurt someone so deeply and been so caught up in myself and not even considered, it's one of those things that, like, now I even tell my daughter all the time, like, don't listen, you don't want to be 45 years old and carrying this terrible memory of a thing that you did
Yourself,
when you were
Grace.
young. Like, learn from my mistakes.
By
So
all means, please forgive yourself.
I need
Agreed.
to. I have been working on forgiving
You know what?
myself for years.
So this brings up an interesting point, which is, and it ties what Misdemeanor and Grace both just kind of talked about. First of all, you need to try to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
You have
And
to.
also, before I say the points, I love this panel because we have empathy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
we
Yes.
feel what clearly what Lauren's mother Kendra does not possess empathy.
Yeah.
Back
Right.
to the program that we were talking about, for her to do this to her child, she is, I think, sociopathic. But what
Yeah.
I thought was very interesting about what Ms. Demeanor had said, and you as well, Grace, is like when Ms. Demeanor said to her, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Miss Heather Honey.
Oh,
Hey, can you hear
hello.
me? I was
Hi
Yeah.
having
there.
technical difficulties. So let's hope it's going to
Hey,
work.
hey, Miss Honey.
Sorry, I'm
Uh,
late to the party.
It's okay.
oh,
We're
it's
happy you're
okay.
here.
What I was thinking was interesting is when Miss Demeanor had said to her son, like, well, and I'm paraphrasing, what are you going to do about it, when he heard the girl's
Yeah.
feelings, and he immediately had said, well, I guess she's not going to be my friend anymore. There is an element of that. I see it with my children. There's an element of that in today's youth, and today's generations. It's almost like a little mixture of laziness and a mixture of ignorance, and there's probably some other nouns I could throw in there, where they're the person is already resigned to the result. They're like, well, guess they're not going to be my friend anymore.
It's like an
Why put
object permanence thing. Yeah.
yeah, like why put the work in to try to change the outcome, which I really love that you inspired your son and actually gave him a little roadmap for, well, why don't you try to do this?
Yeah.
And then guess what? It might work out for you or it might not, but you've tried. Like, I love that level of parenting. And, that ties into what you were saying, Grace, because when you had that, I mean, I've had things in my childhood where I too have regretted that I uttered words, that at the time a college roommate had overheard. I guess I was an adult,
Yeah.
but I had said something and I probably shouldn't have. And my roommate at the time, one of eight, but one of my roommates overheard it, and I feel awful about it to this very day.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like, even saying to you, did you do anything to try to make up for that, or apologize? And I'm not judging you. What I'm saying is, it takes it's very easy for a human being to be human and to
Yeah.
utter emotions and to even hurt someone. What is the real challenge and the real part of humanity for me is to take the added step, and when you've made the mistake, and you realize it, you've realized that you've hurt an individual, and sometimes very deeply. What are you doing to change that dynamic?
And
I
I
feel
think
like
that
everyone's redeemable, you know?
exactly. Oh my gosh, everyone is eligible for a redemption arc. And I think that this is where propinquity, I think, is kind of working against us because we used to build communities based on location and proximity and our closeness to one another. So, in misdemeanors example, and even in the one that I gave, when it's somebody who's right there in your neighborhood, you almost need to rebuild the relationship and make the apologies because you're going to see each other potentially for umpteen many years. You can't just up and move. But when it comes to these like non-propinquity based relationships that we're forming in the community online based on common interests or different passions or hopefully more things that we support as opposed to things that we oppose, it is easier to just flip that switch and say, well, I just won't contact so and so again. Like I'll just delete them from the contacting or block their number, blah blah blah, and I'll literally never have to see that person again and carry that shame with me or the responsibility to rebuild with me. I feel like with the cyber element, it's made it a little bit too easy to be dismissive and to just sort of like dehumanize, depersonalize, and forget that there is a person that was on the receiving end of that.
And
Right.
by the way, before I stop yapping too much and then get and you guys Grace fired me up when she mentioned a personal experience of mine, but now you're talking about just the ease of deleting people from your life, okay? And the digital age now makes that plausible. You can block a number, you can block a social media account.
Yeah.
But then we talk about, like, even an unknown number or unknown caller, whatever the documentary is called, like new numbers pop up, new sock accounts pop up, all
Right.
of that. But what bothers me, and I'm going to stop talking about my personal issue and not with that creator. I've got a personal stalking issue going on. Is you can't block it because if you
Right.
block it, then you're not gathering the evidence.
Right. Or
So
and gathering the like impression of danger and proximity. Like you almost need to know where they are and what they're saying to be able
yes,
to be keen to respond to it.
right. And I don't know if I saw this delved into in the documentary. I think they said, like, well, she would block the number and new numbers or a
Yep.
new number would pop up. But I can tell you from like personal experience, and I'm not an expert at this, like sometimes if you block someone or just delete them from your life or try to exercise due diligence to do that, all you're doing is blocking evidence that could save your life
Right.
someday or to make or
Exactly.
break a hearing if you need to present.
Accountability.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I want to
No,
hear
it's
from
a
Heather Honey.
No,
important point.
no, it was great. I loved listening to that because that's what I love about you, Nan, because I'm a blocker. Like the block button is my friend, and I dealt with bullying and being talked about all through school. And my mom, which I'm 51, so I was a 90s high school kid, and I was like, Lord, just let me get through these 4 years and I'm done. And it was tough because I was a teacher's kid, and so it was miserable. But yeah, it was. My mom was like, just ignore it, and I was like, okay. And at that time, that's what we did. We
Right.
ignored it. There was no calling somebody's parents and let's have a talk. We need, which I believe communication is key in everything. So
And we think it's a phase. We think that ignoring it will
Mhm.
somehow help us to like
right.
limp through to the other side of it.
Right, because in my mom's generation, that's what they did. So just ignore it.
Mhm.
And at that time, it was helpful unless I was addressed by whatever they would say. Then that was hard sometimes. And but yeah, and then I didn't think about the cyber part about the evidence, like you were talking about, Nan, because like I said, I'll be like, block them, move on.
Yeah.
But that's a different thing what you're going through. And
But it's so
anyways.
interesting though, Heather, because Miss Demeanor was saying, and it might have been right before you joined or as you joined, on the cyberbullying. So there's a philosophy, I know she has it. I actually subscribe to the same philosophy for the most part, is with the cyberbullying, it tends to be best to ignore it because it gives it energy.
Right.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
and that is such an interesting
Mhm.
that's such an interesting issue for me, Miss Demeanor, because sometimes you just ignore. And then it's not just the one individual. And I want to be very clear, I am not talking about a
Yeah.
content creator. Like, I don't want this cut up tomorrow.
No.
Yeah.
But like when you
Generally.
when you just ignore something, there's the pile-on of other people sometimes, or the one person who's doing it has like 5 other sock accounts. And the problem with responding, which is my
Instinct.
tendency, my instinct, is then all of a sudden everyone who follows your posts and your replies looks at it. And like, I don't want all those people looking at it. And then some of them chime in. So like, I don't know how to teach my kids this. And I don't want them to live in a world where this exists. And that's very idealistic. And at some point I would want my children to see this awful documentary, this awful topic documentary, but they're not ready for it yet.
Right.
But I'm gonna keep in touch with all of you ladies for all of your insights on how you've raised grown children, because this is an absolute gauntlet. I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
It is.
about the ignoring whatever the nastiness, because y'all, I get nasty people saying stuff. I just ignore it. So
Yeah.
it just kind of goes away then. But for me, there's such power in me ignoring them. That's how I look at it. That is how I continue to keep and take power. Is I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you want to do that? Yeah, not worth it.
Yeah.
That's my power.
Yeah, I love
That's awesome.
that.
Me too.
Well,
That energy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because, people, we feed off each other's energy, and that can be good and that can be bad. And so if someone's smarting off, you're like, okay, well, here goes the keyboard. And so that's why I do love the block, so I can keep my inner peace. And because I have put up boundaries, and it's taken so long for me to get at this place where, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. But I know there's different reasons for people to do different things. But the energy is definitely, So like, I will admit, on some days when I'm not in a good mood, I'll go to Twitter.
Yeah.
Something to today. Very few and far between. But anyways. So,
And I think both are different. There's going to be different ways of handling. Like, I, as a teenager, I had a bully that this girl used to torture me all the time, always had a comment to say.
Who is she?
Well, let me tell you what I did do. Every time, and she was taller than me, and every time down the hallway, she would have a remark to say. And one day I just snapped. I turned around and I go, "You come over here." And she came up to me. She hit me so hard, I hit the wall. But you know what? We both got sent to detention, believe it or not. She gets dismissed early. And the fact that I stood up to her, all of a sudden she respected me. We ended up becoming best friends. And you know what's crazy is that she apologized to me. We became best friends because I had got to my breaking point that I'm like, come over here, because I had had enough. And so I mean, but I think also in the internet, obviously this is obviously totally different. And I think a lot of the, like, I'm wondering, as I'm sitting here listening to you ladies, which one was one of my questions, in kind of sort of merging all these topics together, the reason why, like, why would you think a mother would do this? Do you think it's jealousy? Do you think everything behind the cyberbullying and the bullying is just jealousy, that you see something in that person that you don't see in yourself, or that your own stuff? Because I think that reflects more on the person than who the victim is. So how do you feel about yourself that you would be willing to try to bring somebody down? So thoughts on that topic?
These are good questions.
For me, again, this woman is not concerned with anyone or anything except her.
Yes.
And whatever she needs to do in that moment to get the feeling that she is looking for is what she's going to do, whether that's lying about having a job, that is lying to her daughter about where these calls are coming from, or text messages, whether it's lying to her daughter's boyfriend that she had some weird fixation with, which is a whole different topic. She is a sick woman. And the only thing I saw that she was concerned with is, how do I get to feel the way that I want to feel? It's like a drug addict.
Yes.
Right.
Or I shouldn't say a drug addict, an addict looking for that high. Her high was doing all the things she was doing. That was what fed her. That's what made her feel important and valued, as twisted and gross as it is. That's what it was about. She's a sick puppy.
And do you think also the cyberbullying has to do with the same thing we're talking about? Just people just being jealous of each other?
I do.
I think there's something missing in their life. And this feeds some sort of hole that they have. If you have a fulfilling life, you have no interest in bringing anyone else down. All of you ladies, I can tell you, I will fix your crown. I have no problem with that. I don't think we have very many secure people in the world. And the best insecure people are behind keyboards. And that's where you see that is insecurity. And this is going to make me feel better. So here I go with my. That's why I'm like, flee.
God, I always feel so much better, like sitting digitally right next to Misdemeanor. I love it so much. She's like, you're all wonderful and inspiring, but boy, like, she speaks my language. I personally feel that the mother did this not only to manipulate and to hurt her child because she's jealous of her, but also, and I don't think the documentary delved into this enough, unless I missed it. I have a feeling she would hurt her daughter in this way to, in a weird sense, get her back. In other words, bring her back into the mother's sphere. Like, I will be there for you. Let me comfort you. You don't need Owen. You don't
the
need
Munchausen.
Owen. Like, you don't need Owen in your life. I will be your world. And I think, and I'm seeing it now as a mother of kids going into adolescence, like, they need me less and less. And by the way, I'm happy about that. But
great.
maybe I'll miss it someday, but I'm real happy about that right now. But they need you less and less. And then, okay, so that mother, Kendra, might have felt like, well, if I get Owen out of her life, I can also hurt my child, which is just so foreign to me, but maybe my daughter will come back to me and she can be in my circle. I think that was a combination of maybe what was going on in her warped mind. And I completely endorse what Misdemeanor said about people who hurt other people from behind keyboards who are they're just missing a good life, a good, fulfilling life.
Haven't we seen that a lot over the past couple of weeks online? And it's like,
yes,
I would go on the Twix and I'm like, y'all, like, I've got a life. I don't have time for this business. Like, I live it.
And
what all doing.
No, I was just going to say, and piggybacking on the part of like they're, they have something missing in their life, talking about, and I guess I would say this about that mother, and then whatever missing part of her brain that made her want to do that to her daughter. But they need attention. And when you see them gather like online or even maybe in real life, there's more, it gives them somebody, maybe they don't have friends. So, but we can hate the same person or bully them. And that also kind of
Yes.
feeds into whatever they're needing. But yeah, I totally agree. They're missing something, and they want to feel it with whatever it is, whether it's negative or positive, and they want to feel important.
Yes.
They want to feel needed. We can't, bully so and so without you. You have the wittiest, lines or something. But yeah, it's totally, they're missing and low self-esteem. I mean, they can come off however they want to, but low self-esteem. But that mother, she just, I was really, really shocked. I mean, I could see part of it, and like Nan was saying, I'm sure there's stuff missing with the documentary that, maybe, I mean, was she doing it because she wanted the boyfriend or to, come to her, or was it, the wanting to be needed, or I don't know. But I agree with Misdemeanor about that fix that she was needing, because everything was like short term, like, okay, here's this situation. What can I do to make me feel better? Or
there are people addicted.
I want to do.
And based on the daughter's reaction,
Toxicity too.
What were you saying, Misdemeanor?
I said there are people that are addicted to toxicity or drama. And I can tell you over the past couple weeks on social media, oh boy, yeah. I mean, I'm all for someone spilling some tea, don't get me wrong, but
Same.
There are some people that are literally thriving on the drama and toxicity, and they don't want it to end because that is their addiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we need to take a stand and refuse to allow secondary issues to divide us. Like that's just the thing that I hold in my heart every time that I am online is whatever's happening a secondary issue? Is it trying to divide us from what matters most? Is it trying to separate us from our priorities? And if it is, then it's not for me. Then it's not for me to participate in or look at or, even be mindful of. Like if it's trying to separate me from my priorities, then it's not the place for me.
Right. That's true.
You mentioned about separating you from your priorities, and I think another piece of this is bullies like the mother, and also ones that I have experienced, they try to separate the victim from anyone, whether it's a loved one, friends, in this case Owen, the boyfriend, any just speaking from personal experience, and I'm not referring to, I'm not even referencing or alluding to that other content creator. This is not him. But in my circumstance, in my experience, any man who crosses my path, whether it's a content creator, someone a friend of mine, someone I've met, anyone in my personal, not anyone, not everyone, but people I've met in my personal life, other guests on shows, they have become targets because of and I'm using this term extremely loosely, the relationship they have with me. And I feel awful about that. But if I were to psychoanalyze it, my guess is it's to isolate me. And I don't mean to like over dramatize this or to monopolize the conversation. I'm just giving like
this is important.
I'm just giving like real life example of cyber harassment. It's literally, the sense I'm getting is it's literally done to keep those people out of my sphere and to punish those people for even crossing my path. And I know some of those people know this. I've told them, I've had to tell them that. And if any of them end up seeing this someday, I'm very sorry that I bring this into your life. But yeah, I think when you mentioned separating, Grace, it made me think about that
Yeah.
because I think the mother, Kendra, in this documentary was trying to do that as well, to
Yeah.
try to isolate her daughter to further victimize her.
Well, and not only did it work and does it continue to work, but based on my understanding about the daughter's level of forgiveness and willingness to continue loving her mom unconditionally, I think that tells us that this was a very, very flawed, like her entire life has been filled with this. And now all it kind of means to Lauren is that, but this is my mom. This is the only mom I've known. Isn't that what moms do? Moms do this. My mom did this. Like it becomes one of those things where she doesn't even identify it as a red flag of behavior because it was so much a part of every little experience that she had growing up that, like, well, maybe just this one time my mom took it too far, but there were probably 100,000 other things that mom did to her all growing up that didn't even register with her as things that like a healthy mother-child relationship would not have.
She is at the very, very beginning stages of recovery.
Yeah.
I recognize it. I just yesterday had a text message between myself and my son. Someone had put a comment on something on Twitter, and it was very, very kind. And I sent it to my son, and I said something, or he said something to the effect of, having such a great mom. And I said, well, I guess when you've had a crappy mom, you know how to be a good mom then.
Mhm.
But for my journey, it took a very, very, very long time for me to be able to be healthy in the choice and the decision I was making for my own mental health and priorities. And I recognize that with Lauren, she's not there yet. It may be, mine took until I was probably in my late 40s, early 50s. So, because y'all, I'm older than all of you. So,
Not a chance.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to be 56 next month.
I don't buy
You
it.
look amazing. Amazing.
Amazing.
Stop
Amazing.
Mhm.
We need your skincare routine next time.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Mhm.
And the crazy thing is that Lauren dealt with this for almost 2 years, and her mom served 19 months in prison. So long, she survived this longer than the mom had
That's
served her
incredible.
sentence. Isn't that incredible?
Something
Oh,
wrong with
that's so
that.
sad.
Yep.
And I feel so sorry for her that she doesn't know deep in her heart that this is not okay. Like I worry that she's going to become one of those, like what you guys were just describing about the people who thrive in toxic situations because it feels like home. I worry that she's going to seek out that emotional disruption and instability because it feels familiar, and that's what feels safe to her, because that's what happens. Our early childhood experiences wire us, and sometimes the wrong wires kind of get plugged into the wrong places because the more times that we have to get into a vehicle with a drunk parent who should not be driving, and the more times that they tell us, stop being a baby, I'm fine to drive, blah blah blah. When you're a little kid and you're hearing that, even though your own anxiety is saying something is very wrong, hearing that authority figure say, you're overreacting, you're such a baby, why do you always do that, what, do you want to walk home? Like that rewires a person. So now when they feel that anxiety, they're like, oh, I must be in love, it's butterflies. And it's
Yes.
like, no, like all the wires are plugged in the wrong way.
She's got a great dad.
Yes.
That is
Thank
going to be her
God.
saving grace.
Oh,
And
thank goodness.
And for me, I ended up finding a great husband, and whomever it ends up being. And my father was a delightful, lovely, fantastic man. I miss him every day. He passed away in 2024, but
Sorry.
he was not the strongest man, and definitely not the strongest man against my mother. And so that made it very, very complicated.
Yeah.
And until my husband came around, then I was like, oh, now I understand. Now I see what the dysfunctionality really, really was. But it still took me a long time to get there. But she's got a good dad, so I have a lot of hope for her. She's
Me
young and
too.
has a great dad.
Right. And by the way, the dad didn't even realize the mom didn't work for a year. I mean, she was doing this at all hours of the night, during the day, during at night. It was up to over 1,000 messages per day. And this was constant throughout
Oh
the
my
whole day. And one of the things that she said was once she started, she couldn't stop and didn't know how to stop.
Addiction.
Addiction.
Yeah. And
Addiction.
you know, she quit her job. I don't know. They eventually ended up, I believe, losing the house. And the husband was clueless, didn't understand, because they all. And the other thing too that I wanted to mention is, you know, not only as a mother was she doing this, but also even when the police got involved, that didn't even make. Even when the FBI got involved, that didn't make her slow down. You think like. She just thought she wasn't going to get caught.
She didn't care.
That's the pathology. That's the sociopathic or psychopathic tendencies. That's crazy.
And when they were arresting her, and then she ran over to her daughter and was hugging on her and saying, "Oh, but I've got to be here for her." I was literally like, what? I mean, that was probably the most, you know, I was expecting like, I didn't do it, or, you know, or head down, you know, walking out the door. No, I got to be. And her daughter just sat there, and I was just wanting to grab that baby and hug her and just say, you got to let her go. But yeah, I'm glad she had her dad, but that just shocked me. And
I was cracking up at that point because recognizing behavior. And so I was just laughing like, this crazy woman, she spots her daughter. And the daughter's, oh my gosh. Like that was my reaction. Because you have to laugh at the insanity of how this behavior was taking place. And that she's very young. She's young, so she's going to get her head right.
Yeah. Well, and you know that mom didn't get any kind of mental service. Well, I'm saying that generalizing. I don't know, but I would hope that she would have gotten some kind of help while she was doing her time. But I doubt it. But
and if she did, it was probably substandard, Heather. You know, it's like,
oh yeah, yeah.
You know, one of the, and I think it was Lauren DC who I saw in your chat, who, by the way, Lauren DC, hi, how are you? You're a sweetheart. I hope to see you soon. But she had posted in the chat, like, staying off X is, I'm paraphrasing, but, you know, it helps. Sometimes she's got to stay off of X, which is, yes. And it's how she keeps her head straight when there's drama, which works for many people. It actually works for me as well, and I respect that approach. But, you know, there's another side to that, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Lauren, and I mean, you and I have had conversations, so you know I respect where you're coming from. The other side of that is, and it kind of ties into this documentary and the sources of discussion, which is, you know, social media. Well, if someone's being bullied or harassed or stalked, if they go off of social media, that can actually possibly make the victim more of a potential target, because to tie into what Miss Demeanor was saying, then the individual isn't getting his addiction fed. Right. So like, and in my circumstance, like I think about that. I'm like, if I go dark, if I get off of streaming and I don't have, you know, I'm not a content creator, but if I go dark on my social media and I don't go on streams when invited, is this individual who is not the content creator, is this individual going to actually escalate in a bad way because I'm somehow in a warped way, not feeding a need? The other piece of it also is social media can be a wonderful thing, you know, like it's part of, And so can texting with friends. I feel for young Lauren, she wants to have her phone and to be able to text and communicate with her friends, and she doesn't
Yeah.
want these horrific messages coming into her at all hours of the night, or to her boyfriend. But at the same time, um, I look to social media and I say that, well, that's how I really followed a lot of Karen Reed's case. As an aside, that's how I get a lot of my news.
Right.
And I feel like I'm debating Lauren, which I'm not. I just wanted to show there's like different layers to this onion, that it's like a blessing and a curse. And there's
Right.
this added piece of like, if you're a target and you stop, what
Yeah.
are you making it worse? Is the person going to come find you in
Exactly.
real life? Like,
And that's scary because
Exactly.
that's the burden, as you as the victim shouldn't be carrying, that you
yes,
are that right there, just it hits me, because I'm like, you shouldn't be carrying that for somebody who's doing nasty things to you. So
Yeah.
that's
I had
I just,
Yeah.
all we can say, Nan, is that we love you, we support you, and please know that
Absolutely.
there's more love out there than hate. Love
thank
always
you.
wins.
Yes.
yes.
I
And
love you
And
guys.
make sure
I love you.
I
love
had a
you.
stalker in my early 20s, and I literally, after about 6 months, one of my friends who happened to be male, he said, Janet, you got to get out. You
Yeah.
can't just stay in your apartment from morning until night, because I would literally go to work and come home. And the sad part is my stalker would call me at work.
Ugh.
And so I had to work. I can't stay home. And
Yeah.
wherever he was watching me. I worked in an area of this building where you would not normally see me. I was in a back area, but he would know exactly what I was wearing. I mean, pants, shoes, the whole bit. So he was watching me go into work or
Wow.
coming out of work at
Oh
lunch
my
at
goodness.
the end of the day. That's terrifying. I grew up in a very, very small town. It was terrifying to me.
Oh my
But
God.
don't give up your independence. Make sure you keep yourself safe, but don't do what I did as a young 20-something. And I hold myself up, and then I fortunately had a friend that was like, you got to get out. Come with
Yeah.
me. We're getting a gym membership. And I was like, I don't know how to work out. I don't want to do that. That sounds like work. He's like, yeah, you'll get over it. It's fine. Come on.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
love
so
it.
thankful he did,
Awesome.
because it broke that cycle for me to get back out.
I love that. And that's good advice. And
Yeah.
also, if for me, I've actually been working out too much. Excuse me. But for me, like when I'm scared, and I'm scared, I'm not gonna shy away from it. Excuse me, I run, and I run too much. So, it's a balance that I'm navigating my way through. But thank you for supporting me. We lost. Wait, where did Grace
Oh, no.
go?
I don't know. She might have. I saw her flickering a little bit.
Uh-oh.
She'll probably come back. DJ, keep an eye on Grace. All right, so let's go around. I think we're just about done with the show. Thank you, DJ. So I'm kind of torn between two questions. I guess what I want to know is how you guys would have handled this. And I feel like you've already touched on this, so that's not the right question. I have to think of something else. That's
It's okay.
yeah, like but okay, so here's the other thought that I had too. Nan, we'll start with you. Do you think this, now understanding cyberbullying in the way that you do, the way that you didn't ask for it, the way it was presented to you, do you think as a parent this is going to prepare you? Do you think this is a lesson that you didn't want to go through, but perhaps will help you in the future? And
What
maybe
a-
there's a greater burden that was thrown on you that shouldn't have happened, obviously. But do you think this is going to change your parenting style and how you move forward?
Man, what a great question for someone who just kind of formulated one as a backup. Wow.
I was like, ooh, Should I go
good.
there?
It was a good pivot. You called an audible, as they say.
Yes.
Yes, this will change my parenting. So my kids are not on social media, except a very light version of it, which I won't disclose. But
Right.
they're not, and I will approach educating them on it and restricting their manner in which they use it and monitoring their activities on it much more robustly than I probably would have 3 or 4 months ago. And also, they see their mama who picked, I only became like a guest commentator on streams in January of this year. So they see mom as like, oh, mom likes to stream now. And look at that. So they're looking to me. We had her in like she's gone. She was here and Grace is gone.
She'll be
But
back.
my
False
kids are
alarm.
looking to me like, oh, okay, this must be a cool thing. My mom's on YouTube and I need them to not be fascinated by that. So I need them, which by the way, I'm not. I love it. I love meeting new people and giving insight. But I need them to not like that so much. Like when I went to Disney World with my daughter a few months ago, we were eating dinner in a restaurant and people from the Karen Reed movement came up to me and I'm sitting there with like a kerchief in my hair. I had been sweating all day and they came up to me in front of my daughter and said, "Are you Nan Gallagher?" And I was like, "Yes." And they were from Massachusetts and they knew me from being on some programs. But I actually, now that I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing, my daughter thought I was a celebrity that night. She was like, "Oh my God,
Aw.
Mom, people recognize you." But now with my experience, I actually need her to understand it's dangerous. Okay. And not those people. Those people were wonderful. I loved them. They
Right.
made my night. But sometimes being recognizable is not a good thing. And it should be dealt with tremendous responsibility and care. You have to be very, very careful because most people come with fake handles and you don't, and then or people, so I think Heather, you might have said it, or Grace had said it at some point. Sometimes someone is like they're your friend, that you think they're your friend, and suddenly they're like
Right.
twisting the knife in your back. In my instance, and I'm going to pass it to your panel,
Yep.
just to be clear, the person who is cyber harassing me is an individual. Like it's not a sock account. It's a person, and I'm not referencing what happened with a content creator. It's not that
Right.
person. This is a real life person who I've communicated with in real life by phone under very different circumstances, and it has exploded. And I can only tell you, ladies, and your audience, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. So
Yeah.
I'm going to change how I parent as it relates to the social media with my kids. And I'm going to call you ladies and ask for your help, your guidance.
Right. And misdemeanor, kind of the same situation. Say now your son, now you have grandkids. Like, how would you handle this knowing what you know how things were and now how the new world? What do you think?
So a couple themes, I should say, have kind of rung true for me during this experience. And one of them is this that's happening while you all are lovely ladies, you are real. What happens here is not reality. What happens on social media accounts is not
Right.
reality. So that's kind of like the first foundational thing that I get to. And then in addition to that, because I've been given this microphone and I have lovely people that probably have some mental health issues that want to follow me and hear what I have to say, there's great responsibility with that. And I find that content, not all of them, there are some content creators that are very flippant with the responsibility of their mouth. And for me, I take it very, very, very seriously that I am given a platform to raise awareness on specific cases, specific issues that are important to me, and it feeds my desire to have true crime conversation.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I sound like a broken record, but your mouth, you have to be responsible with your words.
Be
Words,
impeccable with your word.
yes. And so to me, I look at live streaming and having a YouTube channel and all of that, that it has a tremendous amount of responsibility. And it's actually made me look at people in the public that not necessarily commentate, but have television shows, and some of the things that they say and do, I'm very, very critical of them now, because I look and say, I would never do that, because I understand the responsibility of her being on YouTube and people listening to what she has to say.
Right.
So I guess that's what I would tell my grandchildren is, it's real. Don't get yourself all caught up in it. You know, enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And how about you, Heather?
How would I handle this? I think, okay, so I don't have children, but I do have a puppy and a cat. So, and they're my children. But I would have to say, I would want to, again, communication is key. So I would want to sit down with them at what age, I don't know, because I don't have that experience, but I would want to them to have the experience, but go through and say, okay, you see this person right here? This is not how you treat people. This is not how you behave. And don't put anything out there on the internet that you wouldn't tell everybody in your town,
Exactly.
the world, and just be your, just, you have to, it's like you want to share everything that you're passionate about, but then you have to find that balance and that wall to protect yourself and your loved ones. And so, but yeah, if I had children, I would probably start them at a young age and just, again, go over like, here's what to do, here's not what to do. And I wouldn't let them be on like all night long. I'd give a time
limits.
Time for
Restrictions.
and then go, and go do something else. And because this is not what it's all about. It's all storytelling and smoking mirrors and all that fun stuff. But anyways, I want to expose them just a little bit.
I love that perspective. And by the way, you don't need to have children to know and have opinions about how to be a good person and to teach others, including dogs and cats, but not limited to dogs and cats, how to be good citizens. And I love teaching by example of what not to do. In fact, I use that in my law practice. When I make arguments before judges, I will say, this case is not about that. You don't do it this way. I think teaching in the negative can be a real positive. So I'm actually going to take that as advice, because I think that will help. My kids are very tangible. Like, they want to see, I see how they learn. They want a clear example of what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. They're very visual. So I'm going to become more visual with them about, see this, don't do that. I'm also going to take that advice from Ms. Demeanor about, well, what are you going to do about it? And then when the child flails a little bit, say, why don't you do this, this, and this, and this? And it may work in your favor, or it might not, but you'll never know unless you try that. So I'm so happy I joined this panel this evening.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Yes. And Grace, we'll end it with you. Tell us in your lovely words and beautiful voice
what I would do if my child were in this situation. Oh God. It is my instinct, and I think this is probably true for most of us, is to try to be a problem solver and to say, oh, we can do this, we can do this. How about this? Da, da, da. My husband is really good at asking questions and kind of the Socratic method of kind of guiding the person to understand that the wisdom was inside of them the whole time as to how to handle things. So I'd like to think that instead of offering different roadmaps, I'd like to think that I would have the self-discipline to empower my child to say, okay, what do you think about this? How would you feel if we took this path? What do you think about XYZ? And just try to ask insightful questions that would allow her to see the bigger picture, but also to navigate her way out, so that that becomes the lasting memory that she had the power to navigate her way out, whether or not I was there to lead her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, can I
Well
just
said.
one last
Yes,
thing,
of
and then I'll
course.
something dawned on me, and I have had this conversation with my son also. We all, and I don't know that this is really thought through. I try to be a big picture person. All of us content creators, individuals, lovely, powerful ladies on here, we're being given a really super cool and great gift by being able to be on a YouTube channel. Because when I am dead and gone, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, they will get to know who their Grandma Janet was and how she ticked and her mannerisms and all of the things that I don't get to know about my ancestors because
Right.
this didn't
Right.
exist then. So it's, for me, having this live in perpetuity is fantastic for the generations that come, because they will know all about their crazy grandma.
We're all
every
just gonna
day-
run it on on loop at your funeral, all of your live streams.
And every day that we have, whether it's being recorded or not, is basically a love letter to the future about
Ooh.
who we are and what matters to us and what we want to send forward and what we want to be remembered for. So yeah, it's true that YouTube
that.
really, it gives
Yes.
us that voice. It carries our voice for generations in a way that we didn't maybe have as easily accessible before.
Right. And I've actually said that to my daughter. I'm like, one day when you want to see me, and that's why I always say, take all the pictures, take all the angles, go on, do as many adventures as you wish, because you know what? At the end of the day, that's what you have as those memories. So just like you said, Misdemeanor, you and I, all of us here are, one day, this is where will we be remembered. So I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for coming on tonight. And I had such a great time listening to all your perspectives. I do appreciate, I know DJ's backstage doing his thing, and thank you, DJ. Thank you to all the donations. So I want to just say that we hope you'll come back. We'll think of another topic. And I think, this is a great night.
Absolutely.
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
us.
And we will see you soon.
All right.
Thank
Take care.
you.
See you soon. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.